Okay. Okay. This is gonna be my third interview, and now I am with
Gavin.
Gavin.
Gavin Leahy.
See, I can never get that right.
Leahy.
Lee, not Lee. Leahy.
Leahy.
Okay. You're teaching.
Voice.
Voice.
I'm a voice teacher.
But you did teach, like some essentials teaching and learning or something, right?
At FNAFA, I've taught essentials of teaching and learning. Actually, I've taught teaching a lot in a lot of different places.
Okay.
I also teach movement. And
You do?
Yeah, I do.
What?
I do.
As in, like, what do you specialize in?
So I specialize in a form of body voice work called Lesat Kinesthetics, and that has an entire body component to it as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so I remember before we move on to the questions, right? You did mention to me that you didn't really like that fancy place for you to live, like as in your home. Like you prefer places like somewhere like dirty.
Yes.
Are you like anti-establishment kind of person?
Am I an anti-establishment kind of person? I don't think you can say that when you're an educator.
Okay.
Look, I think I just like marching to the beat of my own drum sometimes, and I think sometimes you just need to find places that are a little bit broader in terms of the personalities that exist within that world. And I'm not really an organized or structured person, maybe. So I suppose here I like living in places that are a little bit chaotic.
Okay.
And with that comes mess sometimes. I think mess is fantastic and fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can somehow relate to that, because sometimes we want to experience life. We're actors, right? We want to. We don't want to live in a place that's full of fake people.
Well, we don't want to live in a place full of fake people, and I think we want to live in a place that is constantly changing and malleable, and something that keeps inspiring us in different ways. I think when you live in a place where people conform, or you live in a place that is conformed, then what is sparking your imagination? Yeah, nothing.
Our job as actors is to fill our soul with life.
Fill our soul with life and different types of life.
Yes.
And different types of art, and we should also have different types of opinions. We should never settle on one opinion. We should be willing to listen and adjust and adapt, and never really settle the way we think. Really, I think the moment you start settling on what you think, then you're kind of limiting what it is that you're able to.
I'll clip that.
What?
I'll clip that into a TikTok. Short.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Anyway, so first of all, to start the ball rolling, I want you to react to this sentence. Okay. And ready? Ready? Okay. And this is me not trying to offend anyone, or just you're the third person for me to ask.
Never start a sentence with "I'm not trying to offend anyone."
Oh yeah. Rewind.
My stimulus responses are really like, what? What are you
Rewind.
about to say? Here we go.
Okay. Art teachers are failed artists.
That is so not true.
Okay.
So not true.
You can agree but, or you can have your own opinions.
I completely disagree. You cannot teach something that you can't do.
Oh. Okay.
But I mean, art teaching is an art unto itself.
Whoa.
Like it's not like teaching. Like I mean, actually, maths is an art, and I was about to use maths as an example. But maths is an art. Like maths is a really, really beautiful art form, and watching a mathematician look at a proof is like really quite mesmerizing. In the same way we sit back and watch theatre, I sit back and watch theatre. you have to be able to get inside it and not just to be able to observe it. You have to also know how to adjust it so that the students are able to develop and grow from it. I really like, I like teaching. I like teaching. I love performing. And I think that, but I became an art teacher because I actually like.
Is it like a 50-50 or like 80-20 for teaching and performing?
50-50.
50-50.
50-50. I wish I could do the two at the same time.
Okay.
I wish I could do the two at the same time. But I think if I became stagnant as an artist as well, then what am I offering?
That's it.
What am I offering? And if you are stagnant as an artist, meaning that you're a failed artist, I think was the phrase you used.
I use a big word, guys.
Then you're creating failed artists as well.
Oh! I asked this question because I watched some of the movies. Was it Kaminsky Method on Netflix or something?
The Kaminsky Method, yes. Yeah.
Because you're teaching art acting to your students because you don't have any job anymore. You don't have a job offer. That's why, right? You can't sustain your career in art anymore. So that's why you're doing.
But I think that says more. I mean, that says more about the person because the Kaminsky Method. He's also a terrible acting coach, isn't he? He's like, and there's probably a reason he's not working as an actor.
It makes sense.
Right, whereas I mean, I don't know if I'm a failed actor yet. I haven't started failing yet, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what is failing, right?
What is failing? I mean,
fail is
acting
when you stop.
Acting should be about failing a lot.
Oh.
I think it is.
Yes.
You think about the techniques that we have to use for acting. It's a lot of just being willing. I use the word vulnerable a lot, and I know I probably overuse the word vulnerable.
Yes.
But I mean it in terms of you've got to be able to just keep throwing things out there and to not be nervous about that, be kind of courageous about that, and seeing what doesn't work. And then, you know what I mean? So
trying repetition.
Repetition, but what doesn't work, and being objective about that too.
Self-judgment.
Yeah, right. You've got to be willing to do that. So, what is failure?
What is failure?
What is failure but
That's a great answer.
a success by a different lens?
Okay. As I formulate these questions, right? At first, I wanted to know about how to balance life between. How to balance your career between life as an artist and life as a teacher. But as I formulate these questions, it sounds to me like it's a dream versus reality kind of thing, right? It goes beyond that. So my question would be, do you want to teach art from the very beginning, or like, no, I want to make a career, and then somehow you find you have to sustain your life as an artist, and then you start to take like teaching jobs, and then, or. Well,
that's a really tricky thing. Do you know, I don't. I don't know. I guess, but well, I don't know. Maybe I'm unique in this way.
Yeah, you are in every way.
In every way, thank you. I'll take that compliment. Okay. I think I've always wanted to be a teacher as well, though.
Okay.
I've always wanted to be a teacher. I know that, and I've always wanted to be a performer, and I know that. And I think when I got to my actor training, I was really, really absorbed by the actoring and being the artist and really getting in there. But then in my second year, I actually encountered like a really wonderful, she's now a colleague, voice teacher.
Okay.
And I absolutely just fell in love with the idea of what she was bringing to the table. For me, that was the moment that a lot of things click, because I think also that's the hard part about actor training, is that it's, we don't always, there's not a big picture. It's all about like taking little bits from little bits and little bits, and then eventually at some point your brain goes, oh, that's what I do. And for me, this teacher made that very clear to me, and I realized then that actually that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a voice teacher from then on, except for the fact that I fell into work and became a full-time actor, and then didn't have to think about teaching for a long while.
Okay.
And then by providence, becoming a teacher fell into my lap almost one day. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because I was trying to find a line between fighting for your dreams and just being realistic. Like, you know,
so
that's always the balance.
So you're asking whether just being realistic about life means go and teach, get a career.
At least something that's sustainable. You know what I mean? Like, because when you keep freelancing and then, for example, like Wendy, she told me that once she started to think about family, starting a family, then she started to evaluate what is her dream. You know what I mean? So, what is actually her dream? So,
I think that's an interesting thing that you bring up, family.
Okay.
Because a lot of the time, we have pressure from our families. They don't want us to fail, and so we get this constructed idea of what is reality. Like, a lot of people are discouraged from being actors or going into the arts because there's no money in it, there's no career in it, there's no future in it. But actually, there's a lot of successful artists. And then of course, it becomes differential. Like, obviously, if I wanted a family, which I don't because I'm way too selfish, then I would obviously have that worry about safety netting. Of course, that's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, but also the idea is, I think you've got to twist the idea that the work will come to you. You should never leave acting school or art school thinking that it's like a normal job where people are going to run up to you and be like, okay, well, we're going to interview you for this and we're going to bring all the work to you. You've actually got to actively start putting yourself out there. Again, vulnerability. What stories do you have to tell, and are you prepared to put those stories out there? Are you prepared to apply for the grant so someone can hear and see your story?
So therefore you can escalate yourself as an artist, and somehow, like what you said, the job will come to you.
The job will come to you. People will see your work, and then that will make things easier. But to sit there and just wait and hope that it's all about the audition process or the casting process, and waiting for someone to be hosting a casting, it's kind of I think that's when you start to get frustrated with the process. That's when you start to get frustrated with art, and I think that's when you start to look for the reality. How am I going to sustain this? Do I want to be working in Starbucks for the rest of my life? Not that there's anything wrong with working with Starbucks. I'm a gold card customer.
Gold card customer.
But also we've got to. It's our job to keep creating so that we reflect what we see in the world, and as a result, we start to define the culture, and as a result, culture starts to respect and understand what we as artists do better. And it's a constantly building process. But if you're sitting around, as I said,
not doing anything,
stagnant, just waiting for jobs to come up to you, then you're probably going to be really unhappy.
It somehow sounds like a regular or common Hollywood success story, where like you keep bartendering and just serving people in a coffee shop, and then somehow you keep in the middle of serving the customers, you learn the lines, you audition, and then you fail the audition, and then you do it again the next day until you get it.
Yeah. And having said that, like, I'm not suggesting that everyone just sits back and doesn't go out and get those bartending jobs, and everyone's had them, the waiter and waitressing jobs, and I mean, you have to have those. I mean, yes, survival is a part of it, but I think the more you worry about it being a sustainable thing, then the more you worry about the reality of it, which means that you start to move away from your art and into the art becoming a burden. Yeah.
Because somehow my fear is just to regret things. When I'm like 40s, 50s, and then like, oh my God, I should have done that.
Yeah.
And then, but somehow dreams don't really pay the bill.
No, they don't. No, they don't. But having said that, though, by worrying about the bills, what are you not looking at? What are you not seeing? What opportunities are you not looking at? Like you're not thinking about what it is that you would like to put on stage or in front of an audience or in front of a spectator or, you know.
Okay.
You know, it sounds very optimistic, but it's not easy. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's easy, but you know, it's definitely keep it out of your mind as much as you can.
Okay. So you sound a very, like you said, optimistic from your answers. Then I'm wondering, is there any particular period or moment in your life where you, okay, you know what? I gotta sacrifice my desire to keep acting, to dream first. I have to start something more sustainable, and then later on I will go back.
Did I have one of those moments?
Yeah, especially for the very early stage of your career.
Do you know, I did, and that's, I mean, I had a very supportive family. My parents were wonderful. My parents were like, go, be an actor, be a performer, do whatever, like, go for it.
That's a very non-Asian parent.
I'm not going to comment on that, having never come from Asian parents. But it was, you know, I remember when I got to university to study acting, and they were, you know, you start to just hear the negatives, which gets difficult. And I kept thinking to myself, well, I'm possibly never going to be an actor. It's never going to happen. And then as soon as I grew, and all these other people who I didn't think were very good were being praised. They were really being praised.
It's so unfair.
It's very unfair. But then I left and I fell straight into a job. And then that led to another job, and that led to another job, and then that led to another job, and I ended up having quite a good career, and it's not because I'm good, I'm just good to work with, maybe.
Wow. Sorry, before you move on, what was the longest time for you not having a show? Or like not having a job for a show? 2 months. That's quite good. Right?
Maybe.
Really? Oh my God.
If I think back, there's a time when I was about young, and I was working on 3 productions at once at one point.
Wow.
I was rehearsing.
How you managed
one,
that?
and I was kind of. They were smaller productions.
Okay.
They weren't mega blockbuster anything.
Hamilton level.
No, they were not that. They were small. They were rural tours. They were fringe things. They were a lot of things. But you know, so I don't know. Maybe a month or 2, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe
you can tell from this that he's a really good actor.
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. And I just make really good director friends.
Oh, that's a skill on itself.
Which is a skill. Schmoozing is a skill.
Yes.
And being great in the rehearsal room is amazing, because I think directors will always think, better the devil you know. They like working with you, they will do it again. They know you're willing to play, they will do it again.
Yeah.
But back to the point. Then I stupidly thought I fell in love. And that person freaked out about my security.
Okay.
So that's when I went and got a real job.
Real job.
I became a high school teacher.
See, you yourself said, use the word real job.
I know. Well, I use it like this. I'm being sarcastic. I went and got a real job. It's like when we talk about straight theatre versus the musical. I'm like, it's all theatre. There's an audience. There's people on stage.
Yeah.
But I got a real job. I became a high school teacher. I absolutely hated it. And
wait, but you did teach like theatre, right? As in
I taught drama and English literature.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, drama and English literature.
And the students were like, I'm not interested with
it. Was
this.
I was bored. I was bored.
I remember you told me something. I don't like teaching. I like teaching people who want to learn.
Yeah.
And it somehow relates to what you said just now.
Yeah. And I also, I wasn't really doing the performance or the art that I wanted to do, because I was so focused on, teaching is a full-time occupation in respect to high school teachers and any kind of teacher really. because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and so as a result, everything that I really loved was being shifted to the side, and it was kind of becoming too time-consuming, and everything just became too time-consuming, and I just became really unhappy. I became really unhappy, yeah. And then that all ended, thank God, and I happened to not know what I was going to do, or by that point, I didn't really have any confidence in wanting to be an actor anymore. And then I happened to be at NIDA, which is the big acting school in Australia.
Yeah, the biggest.
The biggest in Australia. Yeah. Sorry, Whopper and VCA. When the acting teacher, the voice teacher that I had in my degree, happened to be walking through the foyer at the same time, and she was like, "I've been thinking about you."
Foyer, as in foyer?
Pardon?
Which foyer?
When I did my...
Oh, sorry. I thought you met Nafa foyer.
No. But I met her in the foyer at NIDA.
Okay.
I was walking through the foyer at NIDA, and and she kind of walked up to me and she was like, I've been meaning to tell you that we're offering the degree you want to do, which is in voice pedagogy. And I was like, oh no, I'm not really sure I'm going to get in. It's NIDA. And she was like, I think you're what we need. And so...
And then it's a scholarship offered.
That was not the case, no.
That was not the case, okay.
No.
Okay.
No scholarships, I'm still paying that off.
Okay, it's quite clear to me in terms of... You said something about happy. I think it's...
Happy. You've got to be happy.
Yeah, I think somehow the line was also about happiness. So you mentioned about unhappy, and then you start get bored, and you don't have any desire to do anything anymore. So
I think there's another misconception there, because we talk about the tortured artist being the good artist, and I'm like, oh, are we getting to this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly. Oh, sorry.
Good
That's
segue.
Exactly the next question. So I want to mention about Whiplash. I'm pretty sure you have watched. Oh, you haven't.
That's the one about the drummer?
Yeah, the drum.
I have seen it.
Okay, so
previously.
Okay, there is this scene. Of course, people would argue that the ending scene would be the best scene, but the scene that really struck me the most is the bar where Fletcher, the teacher, met his former student.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he said that I will never apologize for what I did. I'm never sorry for the way I treat my students. I did that because I want to push my students. I want them to be better. And there are no two words more dangerous in English words than good job. So imagine if you did something awful on stage, and then I said, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you do better next time. That's okay. That's good job. Awesome. Yeah, try again next time. And then these students start to stop practicing, pushing themselves to be better. And now that you teach my generations, right?
Okay, here we go.
And I don't really think that the idea of tough love works anymore, but I don't know. And that's why I wanna know your thoughts on it. Cause okay, since you're still thinking the answers, because I grew up from an acting school who has that kind of teacher, and I'm forever grateful.
Tough love kind of teacher.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
He was so.
Yeah.
kind of teacher. Yeah. But it made me realize, yes, I had some downfall on it, so mentally, but it pushed me to be better. It worked for me. That method worked for me. So I just want to know your thought on it.
It's a fine line, I think, because we are in an age of instant gratification. I can put myself on TikTok and get so many followers, and that tells me how wonderful I am. We also have the misconception that just because the audience now claps for you means that what you did was good. And we walk away going, yes, we did a great job because the audience clapped. Well, actually, no. Audiences sometimes think that is their job. And so and lights are up. Okay, cool. So you've got to be very careful about how much gratification or, positivity we feed ourselves falsely, I suppose, if that makes any sense. But And I guess the hard part about acting is because it's so personal. We are actually dealing with people and their personalities, and personalities that they've chosen to curate, and personalities that they choose to represent to the world. And we often, as performance teachers, have to go, well, that's quite habitual. It's that's just you. Like, I have to make you aware of you as you and how you could possibly be someone else. So I think no matter what, there's always going to be a little bit of, it's not so much tough love, it's just, it comes across sometimes as maybe a little bit confronting, because we're talking about walls people have put up, we're talking about a built identity people have created, and here we are going, well, actually, do you know Antang, that's you. I can just see you because you're still doing this, you know. As for an example, I mean, but that's the rehearsal process. That's the rehearsal process, though. Like, as well, you know, you work with directors who go, yeah, but that's not really what the character would do. That's what you would do, you know.
Yeah, because what I'm concerned is sometimes my peers, my friends, they can't really separate constructive feedbacks and hatred, you know, for the lack of a better word. But so do you have what's the border for you to for this student I know I can push them a little bit better, and for this student or you just do everyone with your all same method?
No,
like,
everyone
I want to be myself.
Everyone has to be treated differently, and you've got to read everybody with empathy, of course. You know, like I know what would absolutely upset some people, and I know not to go there and not to do that. But you know, but you've also got to. You have to. It goes back to my buzzword, vulnerability. Well, I've got to create an environment that is safe enough for me to go, you know, what would work better, and people not to be like, oh, I did that wrong.
Safe environment for you or for
the relationship?
Oh, okay, the relationship.
So both. You know, okay. I should be able to go, hey, you know, that was great, but you know what would work better. Or you know, this to improve further, you need to do this. So it doesn't always sound like I'm just attacking. And I'm the first person to say I don't dish out compliments a great deal.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think if you get the compliment and you're like, that was good, then I think our brain is to go, okay, well, I'll just keep doing that.
Okay.
And the performer's brain should be forever navigating. Like even in rehearsals, you don't just settle on one way of doing the scene. You know the circumstances of the scene, you know the world of the scene, you know the bones and the structure of the scene, you know the structure of the character, you know the character's ability. And so every night it should be like slightly different and fresh with a new beast.
Yeah. Going back to my previous acting teacher, acting mentor, he was very firm that he didn't really want to give compliments. Because he understands that, I think Indonesian culture or something, when you give compliments to someone, they would feel enough, and that's very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
And this acting teacher, my acting teacher, said that if you do that, then you will stop searching for the truth. And going back to your way of teaching, I sometimes can tell that you're holding back of your performance. And I know it's a sometimes, or maybe most of the times, is you're professionally demanded to create that kind of environment and space, right? So is it holding you back sometimes?
No, I have to separate what I enjoy from what is useful or what is optimal at the time. I mean, the part of my teaching philosophy is always finding what is optimal at the time, and that changes day to day.
Optimal.
What is working best for the situation? What is working best for the teaching practice? What is working best for the student at the moment? And that, again, changes every day. Moods change every day. People's strength changes every day. People feel physically different every day. I know that I don't mind being told, well, that was crap.
Yes.
That was wrong. I don't mind that, but that says more about me than it does about anything else. So sometimes it's, if I'm holding back, it's maybe just a way of finding the appropriate or more optimal way of giving feedback at that time, as opposed to just being like, wrong, wrong. But a teacher of mine once said as well, stop worrying about what's good. You don't need my positive feedback.
Okay.
Because that's a waste of my time.
Okay.
He was just like, no. We just need to focus on what's not optimal, what's not working.
To improve.
What needs improving, you know. If I don't mention it, keep playing with it. Like just keep playing with
exactly
it. Just do what you do. I don't
yes.
need to mention everything that's good. I don't like that. That would just fill up time, and that would take. We don't have enough hours in a class.
Wow. And I think to me that's optimal.
Yeah. So just get straight to the point. Okay, this isn't working. Even again, rehearsals. This is not working. I'm not going to focus on every line that did work. I really liked that when you two looked at. I liked it when you two did this. I liked it when this happened. I liked it when you walked through the door and you were scratching yourself. You know, like we don't need to talk about all that stuff. We just need to be like, you know, the problem is I don't think they're actually listening to each other. The problem is, you know, what is the conflict? What is stopping them from getting what they want?
Yeah, I think that's the skill that you. How long have you been teaching?
Too long.
Too long.
Yeah. Long.
So. That's the sensitivity that you acquired after teaching for so long, right?
Yeah.
Like you know how to deal with people differently.
I mean, I have also worked for institutes where you're given so long to break someone down.
Wow.
Because they just want to get straight to, do you recognize that's your habit? You're full of habits, there they are, get rid of them.
Can we do that? No, I don't think we can do that here.
We cannot. But again, I don't know if that's useful because that just means someone becomes hyper-fixated on their habits. Like the, you know, Alexander technique teachers always say it's not about if you try to fix something, all you're doing is creating a new habit. It's just a matter of constantly navigating.
Paradox.
It's a paradox. You've just got to keep constantly navigating.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, like Wendy told me, Miss Grace told me, I'm pretty sure you also came from a background that's like with a very demanding teacher, like, right?
Yes,
right?
I had some very demanding teachers, yes.
And it did make you and the teachers that I just mentioned grow as an artist. So I don't know, sometimes I keep seeing people who actually came from that kind of background, like who's up there, like you guys, like the lecturers that I look up to. So even just I watch Actors Roundtable quite a lot, and they all experience downfall, and it made them stronger. Like bad times create strong people, you know.
But so do joyful times. The ability to sit in yourself and recognize good times, like they're just opposite ends of the spectrum. It's the same spectrum. Look, I don't. No, because you know, I think also that sometimes we find like absolute relief from joy and play. Childlike curiosity.
Humans are so complex.
Humans are very complex, and that's kind of what makes acting really hard, is that you're trying to create humans that don't exist out of a human that does exist in a very different way. But I think play, childlike curiosity is something, and I think that's also, when we talk about the harshness and being mean to someone, that's because we're trying to break a rigidity that has grown in someone over time. But actually, just being brave enough to return to being a child, when we roll on the floor and we just speak without thinking, and we use our full voice and we use our body in like a ways that are just, well, we just play pretend, like children who just make believe. Like that is a joy. That is a joyful process of doing the exact same thing. The only reason that strictness has worked on some people, I think, is because they are strong enough, brave enough to let the wall be absolutely smashed down, as opposed to just kind of navigating a way back towards.
Okay, that's great. That's great. It's super great. I want to move on to the teaching itself. Like I mean, we just did on tough love and teaching.
Yeah.
I want to further elaborate on. Ever since I started learning art, I keep having these questions that I cannot really answer.
Right.
Which is art actually teachable? How do you differentiate that you like your students' work objectively and subjectively? You know what I mean?
Okay. Is art actually teachable? To some degree, yes, and to some degree, no.
Okay.
That probably doesn't answer any question. There are techniques.
Okay.
And there are techniques. You know, as a voice teacher, I know that there is a certain way that your anatomy has to work so that you don't damage yourself, so that you can make as much sound as you want in a safe way. And as a result of you being able to do that in a safe way, then you can use the full gamut of your instrument. That's the bit that becomes immeasurable or harder to measure, is that, well, they've chosen to make that set of sounds to convey this feeling. Well, that's a personal choice. I can't really judge that a great deal. But what I can judge is that you're doing it safely, or that you're finding interesting ways.
Just the technique itself.
The technique itself. But again, art is constantly developing and evolving and modifying itself. And
I asked this question because I heard my friends, not theater, not from theater, from other department, saying that this lecture keeps pushing me to create my art with their taste. Like I don't like this, I don't like this, and like maybe this thing is better. Like this kind of method is better, and then they did it to all their students, and I feel like, wow, doesn't it make the class one color in terms of taste? Like why?
I mean, it could do. I mean, I see my job. I mean, I use the analogy of the painting I did for my mum when I was 3, and I painted. Have I told you the story?
No.
And I painted an orange house.
Okay.
With an orange sun, and I think I painted the dog orange, and there was an orange flower in the corner, and then there was an orange my dad, an orange my mum, then there was an orange my sister, then there was an orange me, there was probably an orange cat, and it was on an orange lawn and all of that. And yet my mum stuck it to the fridge. And we looked at it forever like this awful, dull, boring orange painting that really showed no life.
Use one color.
One color. And I'm like, well, you know, possibly it could have been different, and it probably would be a lot better have I thrown every color at it. But at the time, that's just not what I was doing. So a teacher's job is to help you realize that, put the orange down. Maybe let's try some different colors. I think that's the art. I mean, that's the art teacher's job, is not so much to shift it. I mean, there are techniques, as I said, to be really specific about the techniques, but then to also go, now what do you do with them? So the techniques are the different colors, and then it's up to you to go, well, how do I fill in the frame?
Okay. No,
you know,
that's interesting.
I was talking to another teacher yesterday, and we were talking about the difference between like the application process of going to an art school. Okay. And I said, sometimes, you know, I find it really interesting that when you apply for a theatre course, like the technique isn't actually always visible, or we don't measure technique in the same way. You know, dancers have ballet technique; they have a certain technique. Musicians have trained technique.
Hit the note.
They hit the note, or they don't hit the note. They you know. And actors come in with the promise that they might be able to transform, which is a very immeasurable thing. Okay. So. But on the same hand, we want to teach all these techniques, and then at the end of the day, I don't ever want to see the work. I don't want to see the technique. If I see the technique, then it means I've done something completely wrong in my teaching. Wow. I have to teach you the technique so that you can forget it and hope that your body remembers it.
Wow. So the answers. It's very clear.
It's 50-50. There's some part that I kind of really need to, for an example, for a voice teacher, I need to see that your body breathes. You know, not with the shoulders, but I need to hear you use articulation in a creative way, as opposed to it just being about clarity and sounding clear. It's about finding rhythms and nuance. But then on the same hand, I want to hear the nuance and the rhythms so that I can hear the subtext of the character. not so I can hear clarity, so I can hear what's going on in the character that they're not saying. If that makes sense.
Okay. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So my last question. I hope it's not too long. I want to ask this question because I knew I have this concern, the same concern, because you said this in class already. Is that, so after teaching, now it's for the students, okay? Is that the more you think about grades, the more you don't get good grades sometimes. And the more I don't really think about grades, the more I actually get good grades. And it happens to me. And I remember you used the word, the more you're being playful or something, right?
The
more playful you are, the more you get grades. It's the opposite of things. So I have this concern because sometimes, or most of the times, when the results are out, my friends would, my friends, I'm not mentioning names, guys. They
tell me later.
Why do I get C? Why do I get this B? Why D? Why? And then I remember there's this one module that I will tell you off cam.
It was voice 4, wasn't it?
No. It's other. It's like there's this one moment where everyone is asking each other's score. Well, not everyone is. Almost everyone. What do you get? What do you get? Oh, you get. Oh, you get. Oh, you get A. Oh, you get B. Oh, you get A. And it's like, why does it matter so much? So I just want to know your thought on it from the teacher's perspective.
It's okay. So first of all, the reason I think we're so focused on grades is because, again, we're trying to prove that this is a real thing, that acting is real, and that if you've got real grades or you've got good grades, it's because it's something that is real. I can get a job from this. I can go to another uni from this. I can do all this.
That's a point of view I never had before. Okay.
So the second we add a grade to it, and it's a good grade, it means that I have succeeded. I am succeeding at something that is real.
And people think acting or art is not real.
It's not real. It's not a real job.
Makes sense.
But also,
you're smart, Gavin.
I try. But also, but the reason I say that, don't focus on the reason you get better grades by not focusing on it. Oh, this is going to sound a little bit weird.
Shoot.
Is because it should never be a product.
Yeah.
The product is the result of a journey.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds a little bit
And the
abstract.
destination is not as important as the journey.
Well, the destination is the accumulation of every good thing that's happened in the journey. So if you're worrying about what's happening at the end as the product, then you're trying to complete the journey, you're end gaming. You're not exploring anything. However, if you take your time and just be like, well, this is here and this is working and this is good and this is not, this is optimal, this is probably not the best way to go about it, you're actually curating a really good product. And as a result, the product is good, I use the term loosely, and the grade will probably reflect that.
Yeah.
If you start at the beginning going, well, I'm just going to do this, the idea of looking at a rubric and going, well, this is what I've got to do to get an A mark, means that at no point are you actually engaging with the work and allowing yourself to fail, so you know what wrong feels like as well, or what less optimal feels like as well. Because then you go, by the time you get to the end, you're like, well, actually, those nasty habits aren't going to drop in. It's not going to become about the negative things that could possibly still be creeping in.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So to rehearse throughout the semester is to continually finding yourself what is the best outcome for you at the time and putting that together into a product which then highlights you in the best way. Good grades.
Wow. Because most of us ask different questions. We ask different questions. We approach it with different way when we find the answer. I think the problem, to me, is we ask how to get A as opposed to how to improve myself. And somehow the two different questions have different approach to me, right? Because I see sometimes my friends took that a little bit too much, and I kind of pity them because I find the joy in learning and gaining knowledge. I find the joy in like, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, I'll work on that, and keep practicing. And as opposed to, oh, you like this? Ah, okay. You know what I mean?
But it's those aha moments that are actually learning. Ticking boxes is not learning. Ticking boxes is regurgitating and it's parroting. But being able to explore along the way and being like, aha, as you just said, aha.
The aha moment is
those
so,
aha moments whenever when you go, oh, that's what it's meant to feel like. That's what it's meant to seem like. That's what it's like to lose myself. And those aha moments are the moments that create the product. They create the art. Not a product which is a result of box ticking and I will do this to get it right. And again, if you do that, especially in voice, you know, I will comment on this, like the amount of times we teach iambic and you do it by breaking it down into da-da, da-da, but then all of a sudden all you hear is, when in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes. And it's like, no, you are trying now to mimic something.
Perfect example.
As opposed to actually just going, well, hang on, why are those words or sounds being? Why am I being drawn to them? Why am I being asked to pay attention to them? And so as a result, you get a product that is when in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, as opposed to about, you know, when in disgrace with fortune. You know, it's about finding those.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Because again, I think there's a product of asking different questions, right? I think when you try to do a mimicking, that means your head is how to look good, how to get an A, as opposed to how to improve myself.
It's
right?
also trying to put your own personal camera outside of you. It's trying to watch yourself, and that's just never going to happen.
Wow.
It's just never going to happen. You've got to, you know, if you think back to earliest memories, like where are you watching the scene from? Are you watching it from outside? Are you watching it through your eyes? Because if you're watching it from externally, then you're trying to recreate the memory as opposed to have it.
Trying to look good is a threat for actors. Looking good.
No time to look good.
No time to look good.
I don't have any time.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say for the future generations or the students? Because you know you're passing down now, right? For as a lecturer, as a teacher.
Worry less.
Well, that's
worry less. I mean that's essentially it. You have to be, you know. Sometimes we say be willing to look like a fool. Be willing to be brave. I think people say that actors are brave and outgoing, and I actually think that's a falsity.
Okay.
I think that's something that we have to do, but it's not so much that we're brave or outgoing, it's that we're willing to look like a lot of things, and that's just fine. You know, as other people are like, no, I can't do that, and so they look timid or they look less secure. Be prepared to be weak. Be prepared to fail. Be prepared to get messy. Be prepared to not like things. Be prepared to not like things, but know why you don't like it. Express why you don't like it. Yeah. Don't just accept it because someone else told you that it was right or good. Just be like, you know what, I didn't like this and I didn't like it because. When people just say they don't like things, it says more about them than it does about what they've just observed. So
that's a wisdom right there.
So there you
I'll
go.
clip it again.
Yeah, clip it. Be brave, be daring, be bold, but be happy to not get it right, and be so happy to fail, and be so happy to just keep looking at the world in different ways.
And I think that's what's so noble, I feel, to be an actor, is to constantly, you know, face our challenge, face the challenge, and just keep improving, keep absorbing things.
Never settle.
Never settle.
Even in performance, the conversation and the relationship you're having is still dynamic. And if you don't feel like laughing, even though you did in rehearsals, then you've got to follow that instinct. And if you don't feel like crying like you did in rehearsals, then don't do it. Just be real and
Different
just be prepared.
every night.
Be prepared to re-navigate every night.
Different every night.
Yeah.
There's a book.
Do it with life.
Oh,
Do it with your lives.
do it with chance. Okay.
Peace.
Just no, don't peace yet. I have
Oh, okay,
something.
no, okay. What is this? Qu'est-ce que c'est, huh? What? Do I open it?
Yes.
Oh, what is
So this is
this?
for you.
that
It's batik from Indonesia. It's a scarf. So hope you like it.
This is so beautiful. I was not expecting. Thank you.
You're welcome. I keep saying this. Teacher might forget their students, but a student will never forget their teacher. So thank you, Gavin.
Thank you. And teachers don't often forget their
Don't
students.
often.
Unless you're a real pain in the ass.
So if you like it, hope you enjoy the interview, and good luck on your future endeavors.
Thank you. You too.
We
too.
don't say that on cam.
Oh, okay, no. Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Go on. Bye.
Bye-bye.